Hello and welcome to the Apex Racing League GT Championship live on Apex Racing TV. My name is Sam Fitzpatrick and alongside me for this evening's racing is Adam Hedgecock with Sam Kumo on the cameras. And we're here for round 5 of the championship. It's Silverstone, Adam. It's a circuit that you visited just a handful of days ago, but this time we are using the full layouts in all of its glory. And despite coming to this place quite a few times recently, I don't think I'll ever get bored of this place. I absolutely love it.
It is a classic, isn't it? It took me a while to get used to the new layout. I think it did for everybody when they changed the infield section, but this new layout has grown on me. It's such a joy to race here. It lends itself to some great racing. I really think we should be in for some great side-by-side battles all night, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. The drivers are currently in their qualifying session, so they've got 10 minutes. They can put in 4 lap times during this qualifying session, and then we will jump into a 25-minute race. The starting order, of course, judged by this qualifying session, and then we will we'll spin a reverse grid wheel, and whatever number it lands on, we'll reverse the results from race 1. That'll set the start for race 2, and we'll have a 40-minute race 2. All very simple. It's usually a lot of fun. And currently, Joad Caroni's been so impressive this season, leading the championship standings at the moment, I believe. Well, at least it's very close between him and Enric Andre. Andre just with the lead at the moment, but Caroni's been ever so impressive so far. And of course, last time out, got a double race victory, Adam, which is no mean feat. He was really the class of the field.
Well, when you look at the other drivers that are racing in this league, there's quality all the way through it. So to be able to do a double it's mind blowing. But he did come in the interview afterwards, didn't he, and apologise for a little bit of contact that he made in race 1. And no, it's good to see. There's nothing worse than sort of a driver dominating as he did and having a cloud hang over it through some incidents. So yeah. Cracking performance from him, and I'm guessing probably more of the same tonight. I think he was P2 in practice just before we went live.
Yeah, he was very quick in practice. It was one of the gold racing drivers, Taj Edwards, who was top of the standings in practice, which is quite rare. No disrespect. That's all to Taj. Because he's had a pretty good season so far, but that is still very quick for him. So hopefully, him and his gold racing team teammates can really do very well today. They've also got a new driver in that team as well for today, so they could certainly be ones to watch. Ollie Rowland currently top of the standings, 2/10 of a second ahead of Caroni. Andre in third. There is Vice Kopsakir, I believe. Apologies, mate. I've been sorting out his entry as well, and I did mean to myself, well, at least I won't mess up his name because I'll practice before we get into the broadcast. And yes, I've totally failed on that one. And meanwhile, I haven't even warned Adam about this, and now he's got tried to do this one. But Make, at least, for Gold Racing Team, currently in 5th place. Pro driver costs 3.5k. So he should be a driver to watch out for, perhaps race victories to the end of the season. Probably more like podiums, because so far this season, Satsite Racing have won every single round of the championship, which is remarkable, it must be said, Adam. I mean, I don't know how they've done it. They've not necessarily been the fastest in every single round. And of course, we do have reverse grids. We can only hope that someone does spoil that. But once again, they've got the top 3 places. And, well, Nick Rowland not winning a race so far this season. He's looking very strong. So their force is looking better than ever.
I think it's fair to say that they've been pushed. It's not been just a walk in the park for Satellite. They have been pushed, as we saw for qualifying last time out. Caroni was, 5th? I think 6th, something like that, which he still has to get the job done from there, and the same with the rest of them. They always seem to find their way to the front, but it hasn't just been so straightforward with them. Daniel Lee, just want to point him out as well, currently sitting 5th. He's had a cracking start there. His career in the GT League. Interested to see whether he can continue on with this form, because he's really taken it to the pros at the moment. So.
Yeah, certainly. He's actually second place out of the drivers in the Amateur Championship when you include the 2 job scores that the drivers get. So 8 rounds in this championship, and they do get 2 job scores. Yeah, if you take that into consideration, he's right in the mix. He did miss, I believe, the first 2 rounds of the championship. Currently, John Gordon, top of the amateur stands, but he is ever so close between Tom Stevens, John Gordon, Joseph Saul, Kev Copeland, Bob Humphrey dropping away a little bit, but also Brandon Warren, Daniel Lee, of course, as we were just saying, maybe even Craig Jones as well could still get involved in that, as Daniel Lee goes to the top of the standings, a 56.441, as Enric Andre dashes his hopes and dreams and puts in an even faster time. That is quite an effort right there. So Andre and now Roland as well improving. These guys getting faster on their second lap. Of course, this new time, all the tyres should get quicker and quicker. And but that was a good effort from Lee, and he's still at the top of the amateur drivers. But yeah, Andre doing very well. What can Coroni do? Remains in 7th place, not an improvement that time. And it's got to be a big final lap for him. And in fact, he won't get in another lap. So this will be it for Coroni, championship 2nd place. And he's starting a little bit further down the order than you'd hope.
Kind of want to say I had a little crystal ball there when I mentioned these qualifying last time out. It seems lightning has struck twice, but yeah, amazing lap from Lee there. Mike with a great P4 so far. Taj Edwards P6 at the moment. Last time out, he actually had a really good run, didn't we? We were commenting how it was his best start and best finish for a race. I think was it 4th, I want to say, maybe 5th in race 1. So carrying on his good form again.
Yeah, absolutely is. There is Vice Copper going to 4th place as well.
Just going to check my notepad. Race 1, Taj Edwards, 4th place. He was in Kota. So yeah, backing it up again this week. Yeah,
I think he was having an all right second race as well. I'm not quite sure. Maybe he got involved in that first lap shunts, which we saw where those drivers just dropped it on cold tyres. That's certainly something to watch out for. Edwards in 4th place here again as well, and he's going for another lap. However, we are up to the 10 minutes. The checker flag is out, and they don't have time to complete their last lap as well. So it's a short formation lap. It's a good length formation lap. It gives us a little bit of extra time, but it doesn't drag on too much. And so we can go through the starting order then for this, the 11th round of the Apex Racing League GT Championships. And it's Enric Andre, championship leader. He is on pole position. Nick Rowland, good qualifying for him, and he looked strong throughout qualifying. Maybe this is an opportunity for his first win of the season. Daniel Lee just needs to make sure that he picks up some good points for the Amateur Championship. Taj Edwards starts in 4th place for Gold Racing Team, continuing his good form. Then it's Mike Vascopper, who, of course, is in his first ever race in this day, starting in 5th. Then it's Dion Phillips, great to see him back in 6th. Aaron Powell, good qualifying for him in 7th. Jawad Coroni got a lot of making up to do in 8th. Then it's Damian Harris and Jeffrey Garzotto rounding out the top 10. Behind that, it's Dennis Eipenberg, John Gordon in 12th position, second out of the amateurs. Then it's Humphrey, Paolo Prieto, Tom Stevens, Stephen Brumfield, Ronald Moons, Kevin Kittelman, Kev Copeland, Craig Jones, Jesse Payne-Wilkins, Derek Holland, Joseph Saul, and Brandon Warren in 24th place. David Nichols, Lewis Bibby, hopefully he'll take the start. Jonathan Kearns and Dean Powell, hopefully those two will take the starts as well. As hopefully, well, yeah, 28 drivers. Bibby, Kearns, and Powell are all on the grid. Great work. So watch out for Bibby. He's got used to having to make his way up through the field. It was remarkable Bibby's round actually last time out. I mean, everything went against him that could possibly go against him. But if he can get up into the top, say 12, then that would guarantee him being within the reverse grid for race 2, and you would not bet against him perhaps winning a race tonight.
No, absolutely. I watched the broadcast back on the Monday, as I always do each week, and I was watching him. I was paying very close attention, and it reminded me of a Rocky movie. every time he kind of got on top, he was put down. And then he'd fight back, and then he'd get put down again. And it was remarkable to watch, and fair play to him for having that mental fortitude to just keep fighting back.
Absolutely. I'm sure he'll fight today as well. But yeah, got plenty of places to make. You can see him down there in 26th position. So, Enric Andre, can he extend his championship lead? The 1:33 car. He goes early, and we are racing for race 1 at Silverstone in the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Roland in second place. Edwards has already got past Lee. That could be a big move. Lee under pressure as well from another Gold Racing driver of Vice Copper as well behind, who's trying to go alongside him, going into the hairpin. Lee very wide. Oh, contact with one of the Evo SR drivers, spinning round into the wall. Are they going to rejoin the circuit unsafely as Coroni has a very awkward moment right there, turns out of the corner and loses a lot of position. So as one of the championship leaders, as the two Gold Racing Team drivers collide, it's Garzotto, and I think it might be Broomfield or Eipenberg, apologies. Oh dear, it's a trouble spot, that second hairpin, as we've got another off with, is that Coroni again, or maybe even Andre gets involved?
It's a very awkward start to this track. Pretty much flat out turn 1, but you're on the brakes early, you're trying to turn while braking, and with the new tyre model on these cars, it's so tricky, so easy to get caught out. And unfortunately, we saw a couple of casualties there. Eipenberg drop all the way down, Coroni having issues. Yeah, it's not been straightforward for the front guys. Taj Edwards up to third now, and looking to attack Roland.
Great start for Stephen Broomfield, so he wasn't involved in that one. The few Gold Racing drivers who wasn't involved, he's up 6 places up into 10th. So great start for him. Pretty much everyone from 6th downwards to 15th, all gaining multiple positions in the opening stages. But Edwards is looking really racy. He's 1/10 of a second behind Roland, who goes as defensive as he can. It's tricky to defend around this circuit, so many overtaking chances. Edwards, though, not with the overspeed, offline, and has to stay behind. You see, he's trying to get some clear air. That's very early on the brakes there as well, and certainly Edwards needs to bear that in mind for the next lap, as we are about to complete the first lap of this race. You can see it's Andre leading, Roland, Edwards up to third, Lee still leader of the amateur drivers. He held off Vice Copper, Powell up 1 place, Harris up 2 places, Gordon and Humphrey up 4 places each, and Brumfield up 6 places, like I was saying. Nice start as well for Paolo Preto. Coroni only dropping down to 14th place. What happened to him down at this corner? I wasn't quite sure. It was remarkable. He seemed to get on a massive slide and had to turn away from the corner.
Like I said, you're coming into this right-hander, and you're kind of still turning from turn 2 and braking and just trying to get the car settled, and it's very easy to lose it. And I think he might have got a little bit of contact and just got a bit of a swapper on. It's I don't mean this in a bad way to Roland at all, but we often see him at the back of the front 2 or the front 3. Because he just doesn't seem to have the ultimate pace as his teammates. So again, we're going to see Edwards, we've seen other drivers before, trying to battle past Roland just so they can get a shot at the top spot.
Yeah, so often best of the rest is Nick Roland. Yet to win a race, but got a few podiums recently. Got 2nd place, I believe, last time out at Cotas. Coroni goes for it past Jones, and I think that was only a matter of time. But Coroni doesn't seem to have a whole lot of overspeed. It did take him a little while to make that move, so I wouldn't bet, I wouldn't necessarily say that he's going to get even back to where he started in this race. It's going to be a tricky 20 minutes for him. Behind them, it was a nice move with Moons moving up to 15th place past Kitzelman, and there's Bibby as well. So hopefully he'll be it. Hopefully we get a Bibby versus Coroni battle. However, there's still a little bit of a gap. Holland now just ahead of Copeland. Apologies. Saul in 20th place. Eipenberg making his way back up as well, just behind as Holland, I think, is going to lose out on this occasion. Runs a little bit wide. Might pick up a 1x there, but he'll be more concerned about keeping this position for now. Side by side into club. You can go side by side round this part of the track. That's a lovely move there from Kev Copeland. Nice racing room given by both of them. And looks like his B team teammate of Kev Copeland is going, or Joseph Saw is going to go through as well. Now, Dennis Eipenberg might fancy his chances on Lee as well, as he just drops down the order.
iRacing have done a fantastic job with this track,
Oh,
with the off tracks. We hear Eipenberg throwing up the inside as
oh,
Prato's
great.
turn
He
round.
was doing so well as well. He was in 12th place, I think. Red see Prieto quite that far up, but he's been involved in a spin.
Again, it's that turn too easily done. It pinches, and it like we saw at Kota a couple of well, last week. You know, wide entries into tight apexes does catch these drivers out a little bit. But no, as I was saying, iRacing done a great job.
Oh,
Who's that round?
that's Kittelman, and they're spreading either way. That is remarkable how Kittelman has stopped on that bit of tarmac. He is back going. He was in that nice spot. I think he was 16th before this. This is on the tail of one of the Evo SR drivers. Could have been Bibby, I guess. He just passed her, and then Kittelman, maybe on the downshift, seems to just spin. I don't think there was any hit.
Yeah, it looked like he just dropped on its own. Done the right thing though. Just hold the brakes. Just wait until all the cars are gone. Be predictable. That's the best thing you can do when you turn around in a situation like that. As you can see, no damage and is underway again.
Yeah, along with round David Nichols, who's in his first ever race for Satellite Racing, as they need any more chances. Of course, they've lost Cyanja, unfortunately. It doesn't seem like he's going to be taking part in the rest of the season. Certainly did miss Kota. Of course, has won many races, has Andrea. Maybe even got a double earlier on in the season, dare I say. I think he won at first race at Watkins Glen. I think he won one at Road Atlanta as well, if I'm recalling correctly. But shame that he's not going to be out there, but still plenty of other satellite drivers supporting the team. Well, Edwards, Bentley, dare I say, he almost looks like the fastest driver out there. He did just set the fastest lap of the race. Had fallen back a little bit, but quarter of a second faster on that last time. And, well, look at Lee and Bicycopper as well, keeping up behind. Everyone's pretty evenly matched at the moment, out to these at least top four.
Yeah, sterling effort from Edwards, absolutely, and like you say, Lee and Weisskopf were behind. As I was, sorry, go back to the point I was trying to make 5 minutes ago. iRacing done a great job with this track in regards to the off tracks. You can run the curbs, you can run some of the AstroTurf. At Cops, for example, you can run all of the AstroTurf. As soon as you go outside of that, you're going to start getting slowdowns. But you can be racy here. You can use your 1Xs sensibly. As we see Craig Jones going side by side with who was that? Bibby is fighting with.
Yeah.
Fair play. That's a great move. He can make that stick. I do wonder if either of them can concede coming into Cops though.
I think you've got a lots of experience going side by side on this part of the track. We saw a lot of issues at Brooklands and Luffield, which unfortunately I have got to watch all of them. 81 incidents I have to
Was it really?
investigate.
Yeah.
About 60 of them were protests. Remarkable. Honestly, I think I've spent about an hour on it already, and I'm up to about 25. So,
well, on that, of course, Prato was racing in that as well, and I had some great battles with him. I can tell you firsthand, he does not give up. Oh my lord! When you think you've got a move done on him, he just reappears. He's just there. He just doesn't give you a moment's rest. Absolutely brilliant to race against him, but at the same time, very, very frustrating.
yeah, I can imagine. Bob Humphrey versus Stephen Broomfield, which is the first time we've been able to say that name quickly all season. Caroni looks as though he's going to get past, and there he is, up into 10th place. Is Broomfield going to try to come back into 3? No, but yeah, like I said earlier on, Caroni, on that last lap, 56.91, that's good, about half a second faster than the drivers ahead. But started in 8th place, Dick Caroni. He's already 14 seconds off the lead. Can maybe see him getting back up to 7th. Don't think he'll get past Aaron Powell. And of course, this is a very long circuit, so half a second around this place isn't necessarily a whole lot of time compared to, say, the national circuit, which is half the length. So yeah, tricky times for Edwards dropping back. Apologies, no, it's Lee. He's got a lot of pressure from Weisskopper and Powell, as John Gordon's got past Damien Harris for 7th place. That was a little bit out of nowhere. Harris trying to come back straight away. Tricky to tell what is the ideal line. I think it might actually be Harris with the advantage, although he does the wise thing at backing out of it. He's also got experience from the Touring Car Championship the other day, but it is John Gordon. He's having a very good drive, is the amateur driver.
Yeah, we've seen some quite accomplished drives already from the Ams and Broomfield. We've just seen him with Crony doing a sensible thing, going to tuck in behind. It's fair to say that Broomfield doesn't have the pace as Crony, so doing a smart thing, minimising the amount of time lost, sit him behind and let him drag you forward.
Yeah, probably the wise thing to do. This time is losing them. This racing is losing them time to Kuroni. They're now 2.6 seconds as well behind Daniel Lin. You can already see losing a little bit of time. This has might be worth Humphrey getting past, them escorting one another past. It is so possible to overtake around this circuit. I mean, that you got into this turn 3, of course, then you got at the end of the Wellington Straight, maybe even into Cops, although we don't see too many moves around that part of the track. And then also into Stowe, and then also Club as well. Plenty of chances. We saw it at Coates. I think Coates are possibly the easiest to overtake on all of iRacing, I must say, with the width of the entrance of the corners. Certainly what Tilke was going for anyway. But this plays quite similar. Kev Copeland, I think, might have an issue. He did have an issue at least. I think he had a big slide. Did Kev Copeland. Has lost a couple of places to Joseph Saul and Craig Jones, so he's down into 18th place now. Is Copeland. A little bit disappointing for him.
Don't forget Village, of course. Great overtaking spot. If you can carry momentum through turn 2, you can surprise people pretty amazingly there. Just because it's quite a long braking zone for the really tight hairpin. Just throwing up the inside on the left-hand side, and it'll take people by surprise. You'll make lots of gains from that.
And the second hairpin, of course, straight after it. I'm not sure what that one's called. But yeah, kind of same thinking where you can surprise your rival. Here's Bibby now on Broomfield. I think this will be quite simple for him. And like I said, as long as you're in the top 12, you're guaranteed. As long as there's a decent amount of finishes, of course. Yeah, as long as you get, I think the biggest minus we get is like -8. So he's well inside that. So he's going to be involved in the first screen. He's going to be starting ahead of all of the other front runners. So he could be very good for Bibby. He gets the cut back. Greenfield going to still be there. No, he does back out of it. Probably a wise thing to do. And Lewis Bibby up into 11th place. Next up for him is Coronia. However, that's 4.5 seconds up the road. And then it's another 3 seconds in the next car. Coronia just having a poor lap. 57.98. That's slower than the cars ahead. Must have been a mistake, but he's certainly not having it all his own way at the moment. Powell has got past Weisskopper, and now and they've both got past Lee as well. So Lee, who started this race up in 3rd position, he's going to try to come back in his throw down the inside of the BMW, but it's not worked out for Daniel Lee, who's struggling to replicate that qualifying form. Still top of the amateur drivers, but he's got no cars now between him and John Gordon.
Only 2 seconds the gap as well. If Gordon can put some together. Bob Humphrey, he's having a nightmare out there at the moment, isn't he? Turn round again, coming into... Is that Luffield or is that Brooklands?
I think this is Luffield.
Okay, so Brooklands is the one before. Yeah. Brooklands,
yeah.
I should know this. I've raced here enough.
Yeah, I've commentated here enough, and I still don't know. I think he was in 9th place. Was a Humphrey. So that's a shame for him. Craig Jones has kept Copeland. Oh, contact. And Jones wanted to go around the outside, and that's a big hit as well into the wall. He should be all right to carry on. But a bit of damage on that machine. Jones still with a very, very outside chance of the Amateur Championship. Would need to have a stunning run of results, and this isn't quite the result that he needs, and he has got a bit of damage on that car as well. Hopefully he can just limp that one round, but we are only halfway through this race, and I think he will just take a tow back to the pits. Craig Jones, hope we'll see him back in race 2. 2 seconds separates the top 3 still.
Yeah, Andre been pretty flawless by the looks. We haven't seen much of the front runners. It's pretty much been a status quo since the start. The real action's been behind, but yeah, Andre doing what we expect, what we know him to do, just pounding the laps in, keeping the gap. Roland kind of keeping with him a little bit. 1.7 back, and Edwards again, another sterling drive from Edwards. I can't say that enough. Currently,
Broomfield.
Broomfield got issues.
I think he's got issues. I think he's all right now. It just leaves a place to Stevens and Eichenberg. And now he might lose out as well to Ronald Moons. No damage on that car at least.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Unfortunately, with the little red markers that appear, they come up when you do certain off tracks around here. So it's kind of hard to tell which ones are real and which ones are not. And yeah, there's a couple of people kind of. I want to say they're struggling, but I just think this is one of those tracks where you can easily start snowballing. As we see Soul around at just before.
We can get this. There you go.
I had to think of the.
You're just thinking, don't say Brooklands, don't say Brooklands.
It's one of those moments where my train of thought went way off what it was supposed to do, and I just totally forgot about the conversations we had all of 2 minutes ago. Yes, he's that round behind again.
Kitzelman. Yeah, these drivers are struggling, aren't they? A lot of spins. We don't usually see this many self spins. Maybe a few more contacts, but self spins is quite rare. The track temperature, which I was just about to look at, 26 degrees is the track temperature.
Particularly warm then, really. Right. It's not. Like, if it was really hot, I can understand it, but yeah, maybe they're just trying to carry too much momentum at the moment.
Mr. Comeback, Brandon Warren, he's doing the same thing here. 222 car, and he's disappearing and coming back again, but here he is into Club Corner, into Vale, whichever one you want to call it. And having to go around the outside of the 23, almost contact between him and Dean Powell, who is in his first ever race, and doing very well is Powell. Unfortunately, there are 2 Powells out here, which might get confusing. Have we got 2 Powells? Where's the other Powell? Oh dear, that's Moons, and that's Broomfield, and also Bob Humphrey as well.
Unfortunately, that's not the first time this trio have had issues together by the looks of it. You see, he just gets a little snap oversteer on the way in, and oh, that's not great from Broomfield. Which is, I have to admit, that's not something we expect from him. We've seen throughout this season that he's pretty calculated and calm when it comes to his racing. So that rejoin has kind of taken me a little bit by surprise.
Yeah, had a good coat to race too, didn't he? But yeah, strange that Broomfield would make a mistake like that. I did think it was going to be even worse, where he launched himself across that sausage curve. But in the end, it wasn't quite as bad as that. But yeah, that was a strange mistake from Stephen. Wouldn't be surprised there might be a penalty for that one, as second place is still close. Edwards. We don't believe Edwards has got a podium this season. You were saying earlier on how he got his best result of 4th last time out. So this would be his best result ever. Be some good championship points, and good points as well for Gold Racing Team in the teams championship. You're coming back at Evo SR. I think last week was the first time this season that they've scored the most amount of points of anyone. They've got a bit of catching up to do to go and win that championship, and of course 2 of their drivers taking each other out earlier on wouldn't help their cause, but certainly Edwards is doing his part for the team. But he just can't get past Nick Rowland at the moment.
It looks like he's turned the crank up just a little bit the last couple of laps, getting that little bit closer to Rowland ahead of him. Now's the time to start thinking about making those moves. He's undoubtedly been saving his tyres as much as he could up to this point, and with a little over 5 minutes left, now's the time to really start asking the questions. If you roll and run a little bit wide, you have to be careful on that gravel. It can turn you so easily.
Few drivers already up to 10 incidents. Got the overlay up, and it's really tricky to tell who the drivers are because there's no overlay. Basically, a couple of drivers on 10 incidents, 3 drivers on 10 incidents, which of course is where you get penalty points. But on those penalty points, that'll be 3 penalty points for each of those drivers. So you want to keep them down. But if you have got a few spare, you can certainly use them a bit strategically late on in the race. Good luck this for Jared Caroni. He's up past Damien Harris. Next up for him is going to be Daniel Lee. After that, he's only got 1 second to John Gordon. So he could get, and then, yeah, Vice Copper and even Powell as well. So he could be 4th place for Coroni yet. I wouldn't put my money on it. He was about a second a lap faster on that last lap. He's back with the leader's pace now. So he had a couple of iffy laps, did Coroni. But now you can see all these guys very close. And Powell, what a great drive he's having. I mean, it was a good qualifying as well. For Joe, he doesn't usually qualify that high up. I think he'll admit that usually better in the races. But he is certainly driving brilliantly at the moment. Vice Copper in 5th, Gordon in 6th, Lee in 7th, and Coroni, I think, is going to be past the amateur leader. In fact, he's not even the amateur leader. Gordon's now the amateur leader, isn't he? Which is great for his.
Did we miss that?
I think. Yeah, well, I guess we did.
While we watched it or something. I don't remember that happening.
I remember Gordon, Lee, and Vice Copper all being mega close, and I think we looked at a replay of one of them, and they just got past. But I don't think we actually saw the overtake. But anyway, Gordon is ahead of Lee. That's the important.
That's the important thing. Yeah.
I think Coroni's going to be past Lee very soon as well. That profile picture for Daniel Lee, is that Cyclops or something?
I've got no idea.
I think that's like a really bad Cyclops. Do you know who Cyclops is?
I do not. I'm guessing he's a comic book hero.
Kinda. He's an X-Men. He's a bit rubbish. I'm not gonna lie. Not a great character. But he's got glasses which don't have any, which cover his entire eyes, just like that. So maybe Daniel Lee is Cyclops. Maybe he knows Professor X. I don't know. Maybe getting a little bit far away from topic here. Anyway, Coroni is surely going to get past him here into Stoke Corner. A little bit of overspeed for the Porsche. He's been running the Red Bull livery recently. It's a satellite racing driver though. And if he can't get past on Vale this time, he's really setting him a big task in order to get back to the top 5, which I'm sure is still realistic for him and where he'd like to be by the end of this 25-minute race. We've got only 2 more minutes to go, so 2 more laps to go. So he's got to get past into turn 3, and I think he's got a decent chance at doing it. Trying to stay close to the 1, loses a bit of time, and Lee is just more confident through turns 1 and 2, and Coroni just cannot get past.
No, he's trying his best, but no dice at the moment. And of course, with literally 3 minutes left to go, it's now or not at all for Coroni. The longer he stays behind Lee, the less chance he's got of a top 5. Notable mention for Lewis Bibby after his trials and tribulations last week. A gain of 16 already, up to P10. There he is. A little bit of damage to show how hard he's been battling. But yeah, 16 positions gained, our biggest in the field by quite some way. So yeah, we said at the start, didn't we? Expect to see fireworks from him, and sure enough, he's really gone out there and got the job done.
Yeah, I think he's got as far up as he possibly could. I don't think there's going to be any regrets for him. 8 seconds to Damien Harris, as Harris has got past Coroni. What's happened to Coroni? He must be slow. Is the 2nd place in the championship. There he is. Now, has he gone spinning off at Copse Corner? He wasn't that close to Lee, I think, before. Yeah, he's a decent far away back from Lee, and he must just make a mistake here. Dukop's he's dipped a wheel onto the grass, and he's fortunate that it wasn't worse than that. Gets back going, and we were talking about Coroni perhaps even getting back up to 4th place, just a few minutes to go. Looks like he's going to be rooted in 9th place, and losing crucial points to his teammate Andre in the championship.
It's a double whammy there as well, because you run wide onto the outside tarmac. That's a big old slowdown as well. So not only has he lost time through the semi-spin.
That is Powell. Oh no, Aaron Powell from 4th place. Oh, he was doing so well and he was so comfortable as well in 4th. And he's dropped it seemingly by himself. Another mistake from these drivers, and there has been a lot of them. Now this tricky Silverstone circuit, it seems, today. And he's, dropped down into 9th place. Great shame for the American.
Absolutely it is. It's weird, isn't it? It's a little bit uncanny. It seems to be the Evo SR and the Gold Racing Team guys. You know, the people we're pretty comfortable. He's having more issues again. We usually see them there. They look pretty comfortable racers, don't they, most of the time? And all of a sudden today, it just seems to have gone massively wrong for them all.
Yeah, certainly is the case. Last lap of the race now for these guys. We're not going to quite get in one more. And that is good news for Enric Andre. Here he is, the cop score. No troubles for him. I believe this would be his 4th race win of the season. I did have the point sheet earlier up, and then I think I managed to break it during the broadcast, so I just closed it. But I believe this would be his 4th race victory of the season, the championship leader, Enric Andre. And yeah, it has been a comfortable drive for him so far in this event. 4 seconds ahead of Roland and Edwards. They've had a nice duel. So Roland is going to make it another Satellite Racing 1-2. I've had plenty of them this season. But here comes Enric Andre through Vale and Club. And he's going to take round 11 of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Enric Andre wins for Satellite Racing. Second place is Nick Rowland. Taj Edwards will round out the podium, his first podium in this championship. And Mike Vasecopper is going to finish in 4th position. Seemingly, there he is, just about beating his Gold Racing team teammates behind it. So Gold Racing team, 3, 4, 5, their best result of the season. Gordon finishes top of the amateur drivers, beats Daniel Lee. Harris finishes in 7th place, and Caroni, Powell and Bibby will round out the top 10. We didn't see too much of him in that first race, but another perfect drive from Enric Andre, and he's really showing how not only does he have great pace, but he's got that composure as well out in the lead, which is so essential.
That's always the toughest thing that I've found personally. I don't know about yourself, but when you have the opportunity to lead races, trying to stay calm and just get your head down and do the laps, it's incredibly difficult to do. And yeah, he's shown again that if he does get out in front, it's not a task too far for him. He can just concentrate and put in the consistent laps that he needs to win the races.
So it's another race win for Satellite Racing then, as all the drivers have crossed the line. And I believe we can go through... Actually, no, not all the drivers have crossed the line. Maybe we've still got a couple more. Yeah, we've still got Kearns and Kitzelman to cross the line. They will be the last drivers eligible for the reverse grid. And then we've got to finish on the lead lap in order to be eligible for the reverse grid. Phillips didn't take the start, I think. No, it doesn't seem like he did. Garzotto did take the start, retired very early on with a crash with his teammate. And then Jones and Warren also retired. However, now all the drivers are across the line, and we can go through the finishing results. And it is Enric Andre who wins out for Satellite Racing. Nick Rowland in 2nd place. Taj Edwards rounds out the podium with Make Visselkopper in 4th place. John Gordon was top of the amateur drivers. Daniel Lee 2nd place in that category. Then it was Damien Harris, Jawad Caroni finishing where he started, Aaron Powell and Lewis Bibby up 16 places to the top 10. Then it's Dennis Eipenberg, Tom Stevens, Ronald Moons, Bob Humphrey, Kev Copeland, Stephen Brumfield. Apology. Oh my goodness. Stephen Broomfield. Apologies, Stephen. Derek Holland, Dean Powell on his debut. Nice result for him. Paolo Prito, Joseph Saul, David Nichols on his debut, Jonathan Kearns, Kevin Kittelman, and Jesse Payne Wilkins was the last driver on the lead lap and last driver eligible for the reverse grid. The retirees were Brandon Warren, Craig Jones, Jeffrey Garzotto, and Dion Phillips. So, Sam, it is that time of the evening. It is time for the reverse grid wheel.
That's right, Sam. So let's just spin it. So what do we get? Do we get the full? Not quite. Do we get the minus? Not quite. It is 13.
13. So one of the smaller ones on offer. That means that Ronald Moons will be on pole position. Bad luck Bob Humphrey, especially considering that he was involved in a couple of collisions. So too was Copeland, I believe. That means Moons will be on pole position. Tom Stevens starting in second place. That's Ivanberg, Bibby, and Coroni starting in 4th and 6th places, respectively. Could certainly get their evenings on a better track with a good result there. We'll be back then for race 2 of the evening, coming up in about 15 minutes' time. Do not miss it. Welcome back to the Apex Racing League GT Championship, live on Apex Racing TV. Once again, I'm Sam Fitzpatrick, and once again, I'm joined alongside by Adam Hedgecock with Sam Kume in the cameras. And we are just prepping for this race 2. Adam, quite often we see these race 2s and we kind of just think, well, the quick guys will start at the back and they'll make their way up through the field. That's kind of been the story so far this season. However, this time we got Bibby and Karoni, two very quick drivers, out of position. So, well, it'll be interesting to see how those guys can perhaps build a gap up in the early stages and see if the guys who got good results, at least in race 1, can come back later on.
It was quite a small reverse this time round, so there's not too much that the front runners have to do to kind of fight their way back to the front again. But yeah, Bibby has got a real good chance, and absolutely as Karoni.
Yeah, so here is the grid. It was a reverse grid of 13, which means that Ronald Moons will be on pole position. Tom Stevens in second place, and it's Dennis Eipenberg. Lewis Bibby, perhaps the favourite for this race. Aaron Powell, watch out for him as well. He was running as high as 4th for much of race 1, so perhaps a podium possible for him. Then it's Joad Karoni starting in 6th place, 2nd place in the championship, of course. Then it's Damien Harris, Daniel Lee, John Gordon, winner of the AMS in race 1, Make Weisselkopper. Oh dear, I've messed it up. Apologies, Mike. It's not even Make, it's Mike. Taj Edwards starts 11th. Then it's Nick Rowland, and of course in 13th place it's winner from race 1, Enric Andre. Behind that it's Bob Humphrey, Kev Copeland, Stephen Broomfield, Derek Holland, Dean Powell, Paolo Prieto, Joseph Saul, David Nichols, Jonathan Kearns, Kevin Kisselman, Brandon Warren, Jeffrey Garzotze, and Dion Phillips. Phillips didn't really take part much in race 1. Hopefully we'll see a bit more of him in race 2. I don't see any Jones. So I don't think Craig Jones has joined us for race 2. And there is probably another driver as well who hasn't joined us for race 2. But apart from that, it is a very healthy field as the pace car will pull into the pits pretty early on. And it gives plenty of time for the race leader to decide when he wants to go. As Moon's already put his foot down, they're just leaving plenty of room round Vale. And now this is the point in the circuit where he can put that full throttle down, but he doesn't go for it. And now it is green flag, and this could be very awkward for some of the drivers. They do a pretty good job, apart from one of the B-team drivers and another B-team driver. That must have been Sol and Copeland dropping way down the order. Massive, unfortunate for them. Meanwhile, Stevens, their teammate, still in second place. Bibby in 3rd. Eipenberg in 4th. Karoni already getting past Powell. Are we going to see a big lunge for one of the Eipenberg? I think that was going down the inside and made a really nice move, although I'm not sure if the drivers will agree with him. Up into second place is Lewis Bibby then, so Eipenberg managed to defend into 3rd. Stevens still in 4th position, and you can see there Karoni, has he gained any places? Karoni? No, Karoni got back overtaken by Aaron Powell, so still in 6th place. Andre, great start for him. He's got past Edwards and he's got past Ronan straight away, and look at that, he's trying to gain a couple of places on other teams as well.
What an amazing start. I think I counted 4 wide, 2 rows deep going into turn 2 there. Pretty mega. Great start for Bibby. He's already up to 2nd. I feel like Moons wasn't entirely sure when he wanted to go there. Maybe he's not familiar with the start procedure. You know, of course he can go before the green flag if he so wishes. But yeah, caught everybody out, bunched everyone up, and unfortunately for the Gold Racing Team guys at the back, a couple of them went spinning.
Yeah, it was a massive shame for the B-team drivers. I was surprised that the Evo SR guys didn't crash into one another near the front of the field. I think it may have been Bibby and Powell, perhaps, who were ever so close to making contact. Here comes Karoni, then he will get past Powell. I guess if Powell can, good for him to hold up Karoni for a bit to help out his teammate Bibby, but he hasn't been able to do that for very long. B-team are also associated with Evo SR, as Daniel Lee is off the circuit. He's lost dropped a couple of places, however, isn't too bad for him. Oh, there's a big incident as well. Lots of gravel up in the air with Warren and Phillips crashing into one another. That was through Stowe Corner. Both of those guys retiring, of course, from race 1, started a long way down for race 2. Still, side by side into turn one, just about being able to take the normal racing line. There was Harris ahead of Stevens, who's had a very tricky start. Stevens, haven't seen him do too much too wrong. Oh dear, this could be big issues on the tarmac. Can they get it slowed down? No. And that is a driver on his roof. That was John Gordon, winner of the amateurs in race one, and he's taken out Tom Stevens. And I say again, Stevens done nothing wrong. And now it's Broomfield. He had a spin around that corner in race one, and he's been involved in that one. And that was just the new tyre model there. So slippery on the grass, and you could see that instant happening from a mile off.
He tried so hard to slow it down as well. We got into the tarmac area just before the second patch of grass, and the thing you don't want to be doing is locking the tyres up, because that you just won't slow down at all at that point. So he tried so hard to slow it down as quickly as he could, but it just wasn't quick enough, unfortunately. And yeah, it's not a lot you can do. A bit of a passenger at that point. Yeah, I've got nothing really else to say about it. It's such a shame for the guys around him.
Yeah, it really is. Fortunate not to take out a few more guys, although some drivers did have to scatter a bit. Caroni's got past Moons. Moons has had a tricky lap. He's lost 3 places on this lap. Bibby got past Eipenberg, and now Caroni, all within about half a lap of one another. Powell and Harris also closing in, currently top of the amateur judge. Remarkably, no amateur drivers within the top 10. Perhaps just maybe because he did so well in race 1. I guess he didn't necessarily start that far up in race 2, but the few that there were not having a good time of it at the moment, particularly Tom Stevens, who did start on the front row of the grid, of course. Here comes Powell then on Moons, and he get past here one of the 2 Powells out on circuit. I believe actually the second Powell is, oh no, the Dean Powell is in 15th place. There you go, don't get too confused. Fortunately, Sam has added the initial just in front of their surname. Powell is up into 4th position, which is where he spent much of race 1, of course. Really lost each other a lot of time though through that final section, and now Damien Harris is right on their tail. Will Harris go for it into the hairpin? Thinks better of it.
Yeah, Harris needs to get a little bit closer if he wants to try that move. I did wonder for a moment there if Moons was going to have a slowdown coming out of the last corner. He went very, very wide, and it's one of those corners that you can take a 1x there, but if you go too wide, it will give you a slowdown. I think he just got away with it. But yeah, he's had a horrid opening couple of laps, hasn't he? Started on pole position, of course, and he's down in P6 already. Harris makes a late lunge. What a ballsy move that was. Is he going to hang out around the outside? Is Moons going to give him the room?
And this is holding up Andre behind. There's nowhere to go. Oh, actually, maybe there will be. He goes to the outside of Moons. The shorter run does Moons. However, good overspeed now in the second half of the straight. Harris straight away cuts across. And now totally necessary for Harris. He had the move covered off. And now Moons does lose that. Here comes Roland as well. Has to go slightly off the circuit to try to get past. Well, Moons tried to keep his car in there. I think arguably Moons had the corner there, but he kind of knew that Roland wasn't going to back out of it and went for the pragmatic approach, seeing that he was going to lose that position anyway. Meanwhile, Andre onto the back of Harris. He can be a feisty customer, as we've seen in the Touring Car Championship. Usually, actually, in this series, quite a passive driver from what I've seen of him. Of course, so relatively new to iRacing as well, only about 6 months in, does very well with his iRacing to get over 3k, I believe, already at this point. Puts this car in the middle of the track. However, the BMW dives down the inside into Bale, and Harris, yeah, being quite passive there, letting his rival go. Andre up into 5th position then. He is 5.5 seconds off the lead, with a few cars in between as well.
Yeah, gain of 8 positions from the start for Andre, so great effort from him. Just going to touch on that Harris comment you said. Definitely, absolutely more aggressive in the touring cars. Can vouch for that 100%. But in a good way, like you say, he's very new to the service. I think he's at the point now. He's shown that he's got speed. He's shown that he can drive quickly. I think now he's in that stage where he's kind of learning the subtleties of iRacing. I mean, you know yourself. You've done a fair amount of racing. There's a certain way that you go about your racing to not create too many enemies, because iRacers remember. So yeah, I think he's in that stage at the moment, feeling out the other drivers, getting to establish himself and getting them to understand what he's all about as well.
Yeah, I remember when I first joined iRacing back in 2016. as any 15-year-old knows. Very poor. Of course that hasn't changed, as any 19-year-old knows. But I couldn't. I wasn't going to buy any cars, so I think I stayed in the MX-5s for about 3 months. And honestly, I think that was the best thing that ever happened to me on iRacing, because I grew eyes in the back of my head, because I just knew how to avoid collisions, and these were not necessarily with the best drivers. It really did improve my racecraft, and I'm very thankful of it ever since, because now very good at kind of that pragmatic approach, avoiding incidents, which I don't think I would have got from the MX-5s. I'm sure Harris is learning that one at the moment. Just improving eyes year after year. Even Alex Simpson been on this service for a year, our co-commentator. Sure, he would still vouch for that one, that he's improving. Ronald Moons down into 9th place now, gets overtaken by Taj Edwards, and behind this is Visa Kopska. Oh my goodness! Can you say it, please, Adam? Just
Visa Kopska.
Beast Kopska, there you go. We were saying it so well in the whilst we were off. Oh, Harris is off. There he is. I think. Oh, that's a bit of a. Well, thankfully there are no cars. I guess he knew that, because that was looking like it was going to be an airplane crash for a moment. 13th place, Harris is down to.
Yeah, fortunately he had a great view of turn 1 there, so he'd be able to see any other cars coming, and he got himself going quickly again. We'll see a little replay of what happened. Just coming down into the turn 1. Oh, he's just carried a little bit too much speed, and the rear just it's not hooked up enough for him at that moment in time, and yeah, sent him round. Very easy to do in these cars. You carry that little bit too much speed, and yeah, it will turn you, and not really what you want to be doing.
A little bit off the circuit is Daniel Lee just behind. Oh, no, just ahead. Apologies. There was a driver off behind as well. I think it was either Kittelman or Holland. Unfortunately, they had the exact same livery, and they were next to one another on track, but one of them just went off the circuit. And Lee went off in the meanwhile. In 11th place is Lee. Bob Humphrey now top of the amateur drivers. And with a lot of damage as well is Mr. Cyclops himself, Daniel Lee.
I was just thinking that. I was looking at thinking, he's had some scrapes out there. I don't remember. Was he part of the Broomfield one at the hairpin?
The second hairpin. I think maybe that might be a decent shout. But then Broomfield started quite low down, didn't he? Whereas Lee started quite far up. Oh, I think he's going to come into the pits as Daniel Lee, or maybe thoughts about. He's going very slowly. I don't see how he's got a slow down.
You can get a slowdown at Stowe if you go a little bit too wide and take to the there's like a little tarmacy bit by the grass. If you go out there, you can get a slowdown. Hasn't
got too much steering damage on that car, but it was 6 seconds slower on that last lap was Daniel Lee. At least he can hopefully finish the race. Do have a faster pair in this series, of course, which he can pick up if he chooses. Half an hour to go in this race too. It's pretty close for the lead. It's pretty close for 4th place as well. Aaron Powell taking his normal 4th place. I swear, if he doesn't get a top 5 in this in today's race, despite, I swear, spending the entire time in the top 5, I would feel very bad for him. Is there going to be contact here? That was generous from Andre. Could have kept his nose in there, but realised it's probably best to avoid damage quite this early in the event. Powell with the wide line, but has a better run through Woodcuts. Does he put his car in the middle of the circuit? Yes, he does. It's tricky to go down the inside because it takes such a tight entry. Powell moves back to the racing line. I'm not sure how happy Andre will be with that one just behind. And Andre's close through all the corners where he can't really overtake. He was close into Cops and he's close into Maggots and Beckett's, but no way through at the moment. He is now up to 6 seconds behind. So that gap was 3.5 seconds before. It's up to 6 seconds now, just maybe showing the time that he's lost in this traffic. And now I think his best chance will be against Powell down this hangar straight. There is a car's width on the inside, although these BMWs are extremely wide, so it does need a different car's width definition for these machines. Contact between the two of them, and Andre is round, and that's the danger of the reverse grids, making your way up through the order. And Enric Andre has spun round from 7th place, and that is any hope of the race win, perhaps any hope of the podium, gone out of the window for him. And also losing out is Aaron Powell.
You hit the nail on the head there just before they went into the corner. These are big big boy cars. They are about a car and a half width, so you do need to give some extra room. Unfortunately, there it looked like Andre either just pinched in a little bit too much, or Powell just run a little bit wide, one of the two. But it's a shame for both of them. It's shaping up to be quite an interesting dynamic as well. You know, they were losing time to the guys in front, and they were getting caught by the guys behind while they were fighting. But yeah, another one of those incidents. You just kind of look at it and think, just play it safe. You're only a third of the way through your race. You know, play it safe. Don't worry about the time now. Gain it all back later on. But another incident and more work for them both to be doing.
Yeah, Andre did seem to be playing it safe beforehand, and then, well, it was tricky to tell from that angle, to be honest. He should have left space, and he shouldn't have done, but maybe we'll see it after the race, where if we have a dull moment in the race at the moment. There you can see Powell there dropping down to 9th place, 4 places down from where he started. That's in 5th place after finishing in 9th place in race 1. John Gordon, he's still running, at least as Gordon. He's ahead of Derek Holland, I think, recently making that overtake. Next up is the other Indy Autosports white car of Kevin Kittelman. Always get these two mixed up, I must say, Kittelman and Holland, across the same livery. And they're usually at the same point in the circuit as well, so you can understand my confusion. And they are, once again, very close to one another on circuit, but you can see Holland losing a little bit of time now to the Gold Racing Team blue driver.
I do like their livery, though. As much as it's
nice, it's simple, but it's nice.
Retro. I like it. It's like a 60s, 70s style race car. If they just painted like the end plates on the rear wing a different colour, so we could see who was who, that'd be brilliant. But yeah, I do like that livery. Notable shout for Dennis Eipenberg, by the way, currently running P2, keeping tabs with Lewis Bibby and keeping Caroni behind, which is no mean feat. We haven't seen much of Eipenberg. He's been a solid racer all, throughout the season, but to run P2 as he is now, he's looking the part, isn't he?
Yeah, really is. I think he had a great Sebring round, didn't he? Remember Sebring, where I swear we had that crazy qualifying session because it was the first race on the new tyres, and it really mixed up the order. And we had about 10 drivers in that meeting who could all win. Of course, very competitive still now, but it was even more competitive back then. And Eipenberg, I think, maybe even got a couple of top 5s, dare I say. Certainly a couple of top 10s. And was really running with...
He got P3.
There you go. There you go.
Fifth in race 2.
Your notes are paying off. Honestly, you're making me look like an amateur. I'm saying, oh, well, you may have done well. You may have done well. And you're saying, absolutely, you're spitting facts right now. But yeah, absolutely true. So yeah, he finished in 3rd and 5th on that round. That was probably his best round to date. But Gold Racing, I don't know if they were underperforming at the start of the season or overperforming now, but they've improved so much this season ever since those new tyres were released, and it might just be because they put those extra hours in. But they've been able to maintain it, even though the others maybe would catch on to the advantage that they've been able to build. They've been able to maintain it, have Gold Racing Team, so really well done to those guys. Here's Daniel Lee, and he's lost that place this time to Damien Harris. What happened to Harris earlier on? He was doing better than that, I swear.
He self-spun at turn 1. He just carried a little bit too much speed.
Yeah. He was with Caroni, wasn't he?
Who was the F1 driver that had a spin there? And he went across the pit exit just as the two Hasses came out.
Oh, was it Russell last year?
I can't remember. It totally eludes me. But yeah, I just had visions of that as he went across there. I just had visions of two Hasses coming out the pits, before crashing into each other and almost hitting him.
I think it was. A lot happened in that race, so it's easy to forget. Oh, I hope we get a British Grand Prix this year. I think it would have to be postponed. So I don't think we're going to get any action until probably August or September, I imagine. But hopefully, make it later. They do WEC round here, or they used to do it in March, so we can easily have an October race if we want to. So fingers crossed for that one, because it has produced some of the best races over the past 10 years or so since this new layout was introduced. Still, these guys so close. Top 3 separated by less than 1 second. No pit stops in this series. And I do take credit for writing much of the rules. It's just good that these drivers got to get it done on circuit. There's no reason to fuel save. They've got to get on with it and get track position. And I don't think Bibby is going to make a mistake out in the lead to give these guys the race win. So they've really got to work for it.
You can't say things like that. We've had experience of these things through the season. Do you see Nick Rowland throwing up on the inside on Taj Edwards there, coming into the last corner?
Edwards holding still side by side. This is where problems can be caused. And now he's going to help out his teammate and the other Satsite racing driver. And Andre, after that spin, gets back ahead of Rowland. He hasn't quite backed up his great pace from qualifying in race 1. He was almost as fast as Andre earlier on in the meeting. And Andre wants to get past straight away. He's up into 5th place, but now he has the outside for this next corner. Oh, these BMWs are so wide, and Andre knows that so well. They're still side by side. You can't quite see his rival here, but he's having to leave room. Might just have the overspeed and a little bit of slipstream as well from the car ahead. And yeah, Enric Andre back up into 5th place.
Very opportunistic, that wasn't it? But again, you know, Andre showing his class. He knows when to make the move and he knows how to make it stick. That's for sure. And Wies Kopsika, you know, not much he could do. He tried his best. Brilliant showing for his first event, by the way. Yeah, no, fair play to him. And Nick Rowland just sitting behind and enjoying the view.
Edwards has made a bit of a break for it. Edwards won't be easy for Andre to take really. What a great round Taj Edwards is having. Once again, Gold Racing Team doing really well.
Again.
Honestly, I'm planting a lot of seeds. Let's see if any trees are growing. Because no, you think I don't know what I'm doing. I know totally what I'm doing. And honestly, if I do make a commentator's curse, we can make it into a nice compilation later on. So it's win-win. Either I get something correct, or we make a funny video out of it. Into the pits is Nick Rowland. I did hear him fuel save down the Wellington Straight into Brooklands. And I was thinking that's probably just him backing off. However, he seems to have not put in enough fuel in that car, and he's going back to the pits. Didn't have any damage on it. You can see it's staying absolutely fine. This is a pretty... Well, it's a long pit stop because the pit lane is so incredibly slow. You do cut the last couple of corners, but still a big penalty to come into the pits as the entire field runs past him.
I wonder if he kept his race 1 set up on.
Good shout, actually.
I do under 20 minutes. He's probably thinking, if I need to get it done now. Yeah. As we see, Ronald Moons, by the way, who's fighting his way back after a torrid start to the race. He's back into P8 now, and he's put in some good laps. To be fair to him, he's dusted himself off. I use that phrase a lot. Dusted himself off, and he's going again. And we see Damien Harris making a move up the inside. Harris looking aggressive out there again, isn't he? He's couple of laps in a row. He's made a move round the outside into one in Stowe and then one there at Brooklands. Yeah, he's definitely looking racy as Harris.
Next up for him, his teammate Humphrey. And you can just see Daniel Lee a little bit further back as well. He had a tricky start, did Lee? But trying to get past Aaron Powell at the moment. A couple of retirees so far in this race. Joseph Saul doesn't seem to have taken the start. Apologies, I think Saul crashed on the start-finish line where the two B team drivers, it was Saul and one of the other B team drivers.
Tom Stevens.
That's it. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess it was. I'm not sure if it was Stevens though. No, Stevens started second place, didn't he? So he got involved in something else. I think it was Copeland who also spun. He's actually done a pretty good job at recovering since then. There's Copeland. Karuni now onto the back of Eichenberg. Struggling with a little bit of oversteer. understeer safety turn 1 because they've reprofiled turn 1. They like to resurface this place every other weekend. And so they've changed that turn 1 a little bit. It's not quite the challenge it used to be. It's a little bit wider, but unfortunately we have the old version of it on iRacing. Even though this place was only scanned less than 2 years ago. Here is Edwards having to defend from Andre. And if he can, he might want to get his teammates involved in this one. Bisa Kopsakir. And Andre this time, I think this should be pretty simple. The BMW is tricky to race against when it's alongside you because you know you will come up second best if you make contact. And Andre back up into 4th place. Could be a dull race for him though, to the end. Keep those incidents down and hope that there's a crash ahead for him, will be his perspective, because he's now got 17 minutes to gain a 12.5-second gap. Even for Enric Andre, I think that's going to be a bit too much.
Agreed. I think that's a little bit too far ahead for him. Edwards put up a sterling defence there. That move took maybe 3 or 4 corners for Andre to complete. Yeah, Edwards again just driving out of his skin and making Andre work for it. Of course, we've got Visa Kopsika, but just behind him now. I wonder if they're going to try and gang up on Andre a little bit, see if they can both work together and claim that top 5 spot for the 2 of them. We'll have to wait and see on that one though.
I've got 7 seconds back to Bob Humphrey, so will be, like I said, it's going to be a good points haul for Gold Racing Team. I'd say that Visa Kopsika, of course, not part of the main Gold Racing Team. So he won't score points for their championship winning car as such. Edwards, though, will. And they are beating all the EBOSR drivers, of course, bar Bibby at the moment. So that is going to help them out in that championship. Sunlight Racing not signing up any of their drivers for the team's championship, and it's a little bit late to do so now, seeing that we are in the second half of the season. So they're not really a factor into that one, but certainly Gold Racing Team and EBOSR providing a good battle there, and of course B Team as well. Ronald Moons, he is defending from Aaron Powell now, so he lost out to Harris, of course, previously, and now it's another EBOSR driver on him. Aaron Powell with a nice line through that second hairpin, and he's going to launch an attack at one of the many big braking zones around the Silverstone circuits. He's there away down the inside. He lodges his BMW on the inside, takes a very acute angle. It wasn't really a properly committed move for the driver who was up in 4th position earlier on in this race. And Moon's doing a good job at defending. Takes a very tight line, and that's scrubbed a lot of speed off. Powell taking an unnecessarily wide line as well, leaving each other loads of space, which is absolutely fantastic to see for a steward like myself. Powell gets the cut back for Maggots and Beckett. He's got a lot of overspeed, and he might just be able to get his car ahead here. Will Moons keep his car in? Yes. And all this has got them absolutely nowhere now. 2 more cars are right on their tail. It's a 4-car train.
It's been brilliant to watch, hasn't it? The trouble is, I think Moons isn't quite defending enough to make Powell commit to a proper overtake. We saw he sized him up coming towards the Wellington. Done a brilliant move, made Moons defend the inside, so he got the slower line out, but then just didn't fully commit coming into Brooklands. And yeah, it's great to watch, but you just feel that one of them needs to get a little bit more aggressive, so that it can either be you have the move done or you don't. Yeah,
when you run side by side for a few corners, then it can really cost you. And as you're saying, if no one's willing to commit to either move, then it can cause a lot of problems. They're a little bit more in line now, but Moons just did a 2:0.84. That is over 1 second slower than his best lap time, just as the tyres should really be getting into their prime. A little bit of defensive driving there. Lee's doing well considering the damage that he's got on that car. He was really struggling earlier on, strangely, but he's actually stayed in 11th place. He was in 11th place about 10 laps ago. But he's got Broomfield, of course, tight on him, and John Gordon, of course, recovering after a few issues for him much earlier on in the event. Might be worth going back to the race lead, I guess, because we haven't seen the race leaders for a while. Still a good battle. Lewis Bibby, though, up to 1.6 seconds ahead of Dennis Eifenberg. He's just been able to edge out that gap recently. Quarter of a second faster on that last tour. Eifenberg losing a little bit more time on this lap as well. Caroni 0.4 of a second behind him. Caroni's actually got quite a good run down this Hangar Straight. It's down to 0.3. See him just behind. He's not close enough for a move into Stoke. And this race is moving towards Lewis Bibby, and that's a clean sweep of 9 rounds so far for Stats Like Racing. Could it finally be coming to an end?
If Caroni wants to do anything about Bibby, he needs to get past Eifenberg sooner rather than later. Bibby will be looking in his mirrors and thinking, yep, now's the time to go. And we've seen it. He's putting his foot down. He's trying to make this gap as quickly as he can. Caroni, he needs to get it done against Eifenberg, but Eifenberg's driving so well. He's hung with this two for the entirety of the race, and I mean, he's gone a bit defensive there, defending fresh air really. Caroni was nowhere near him, but yeah, he needs to get past him, does Caroni.
Bibby just set 2:57.94s, I think, in a row. So really is maximising the pace of that Porsche at the moment. Moons has just been overtaken by Aaron Powell, so I dragged us away from that battle, and they're actually going side by side at the moment. This could be good, and this could carry on for a little while yet, because they've got the Wellington Straight to come. Moons on the inside. He does take a very tight line, I'd say, he does, Moons, on many of these occasions, and I don't think it's always necessary. And now Lee has got the best run of all of them. Unfortunately, he's got a lot of aero damage. Goes to the inside of Moons. Goes to the outside. Oh, has Lee overcommitted here? Oh, well, he's done a good job there, Daniel Lee. He realised once he put his foot on the brake pedal that he was about to cause a lot more trouble than he meant to. And that was actually pretty good driving, I think, from Powell as well. He had to turn out from the corner slightly just to avoid contact. And it's worked very well for Powell. It's worked very well for Broomfield as well. He's up into 11th place.
Yeah, slight mistake there from Lee. But all the drivers in this pack, you can tell that they know what they're doing. They all identified the issue very early, and they all got out of it in one piece. Broomfield now having a look to the outside of Moons, really starting to ask the questions of him, as we see Powell just ahead starting to make a little bit of gap between them.
Powell a little bit wide, actually, through the last part of Beckett's, and then through Chapel. Humphrey with a bit of over speed. How confident is he? Because ABS enabled for these drivers. No, he's got on the inside there. Moon's actually letting him have it, I think. And Daniel Lee, honestly, that profile pitch. I'm not usually exposed to the profile pictures because I'm back to a good computer, so I can actually run the overlay. So me and Adam can see exactly what you're seeing at home. Or wherever you are. I assume you are at home in this current climate. So the fact that I'm constantly seeing Cyclops every single time, or whoever that is, what's with his glasses? What is with that? Hopefully we'll get into with Daniel Lee after the race. Here he goes down the inside of Moons. Oh, well, he's locked up the brakes again. And, well, I don't think Moons will be best pleased with that one. Lee does get pathway into 11th place.
Yeah, a little bit clumsy there from Lee. I thought we was going to see Moons take that tight inside line again. The trouble with defending like that is that you don't have momentum. We've seen it a few times where Damon Harris, for example, sets it up so early where he'll make you defend that inside in Village or the left-hand hairpin, whichever one that's called, and he'll make you defend it, so you take the inside line deliberately, so he carries the momentum all the way down the straight, and then he makes that move against you in Brooklands. I think Moons has kind of succumbed to that as well. He's been doing the same thing on the defensive side. Lee getting a little bit slidey going through Cops there. He's really struggling with that car. I wonder if he's just pushed the tyres too much.
Yeah, maybe. Wonder if we could get the track temperatures up on screen for this race too. Of course, race 1 was in the morning, race 2 in the afternoon, and you can see it's 39 degrees Celsius, so much warmer. Surprisingly though, we've seen about a fifth of the mistakes. Barely any self-spins in this second race. Whilst in race 1, I swear half the field spun by themselves at different points in the event. So Much better driving in this race too. Great job right now from Edwards and Vita Kopsakia to stay close to Andre. See, Andre still in the same shot, 1.2 seconds to the BMW. Not pulling away at the moment. In fact, these guys are very similar lap times to the race leaders. All the top 6 kind of in a league of their own at the moment. You've also got Nick Rowland, of course, way down the order, coming back after a pit stop. Lewis Bibby then leads, but he's lost quite a bit of time in the last 2 laps. So he lost, I believe, 0.3 of a second 2 laps ago, and he lost 1.5 of a second on that last lap. It gets back down to 1.3 after nearly reaching 2 seconds. You can see actually it was half a second on 2 laps ago. So Eichenberg might be able to come back. Maybe the tide is turning a bit, but of course, catching is one thing, overtaking is another, and he hasn't quite accomplished the first part of that yet.
I do wonder if Coroni's just settled down a little bit behind Eichenberg. We saw earlier on where he was taking a look up the inside, coming down into Stowe here. You know, we saw him swing wide to give Eichenberg something to think about. We saw that they lost time in doing that. So I just wonder if Coroni's kind of calmed it down a little bit behind, let Eichenberg get focused on Bibby again, and that's why they've been able to close the gap just a touch.
Oh, Coroni's dropped it by himself. And it leaves a 2-way battle then for the race win. Joaquin Coroni, what a strange error that is. Just as we were saying that there's been very few mistakes in this race too, and it was one of the drivers who didn't make a mistake in race 1. He was, he did make a mistake in race 1, didn't he? At Copse Corner, here it is. Just turns in and, lost it before any chance of catching. That was very early on in the corner, and it means that he's now 6 seconds off the top 2, and dare I say it, Satellite Racing are not going to win this round 10 of the season after a string of 1-2 finishes. They've finished 1-2 in almost every single round of the season. They're going to even get a car in the top 2 for this round, at least for Coroni. It looks like he's going to make up some championship points on Andre still, but it was a potential for Coroni to really close that championship lead on Andre and got himself into 3rd place early on, but he hasn't quite done anything with it today, Adam, and maybe that is going to be costly when we come to the end of the championship in a few weeks' time.
I really wasn't expecting that. That's just... It's taken me by surprise. He was looking so comfortable behind Eichenberg. He's looked comfortable. But after the first couple of laps, he's settled in and he's been doing what we see him do. You know, he pounds the laps in, he puts pressure on the people around him, and he comes away with results. And to see him drop it like that is, it's a surprise, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Still a podium for him, potentially. 1.4 seconds between the 2 leaders then. Edwards and Visa Copper still quite close to Andre. Doesn't look like there's going to be too much movement, I imagine, in this top 6 then to the end of the race, unless Eichenberg can really put on a surge. We've got 3 more laps to go, I guess. We're just about getting that 3rd lap.
It's that time of the night where we try and figure out how many laps we've got left.
At least I know that it's not 45 minutes anymore. For some sort of reason, I had it fixed into my skull that these races are 45 minutes earlier on. By the way, I do set up the races. And it's never been 45 minutes in this series. It's always been 40 seasons, and this is the 3rd season of this. But no, we do now know it is 40 minutes. Remarkable. And of course, I haven't even mentioned, if you want to check out, side by side, this for Holland and Phillips. I don't know what just happened to Dion Phillips. I think you've just made a mistake, I guess, because they were not close previously, and all of a sudden they are quite close. That was Phillips actually getting past, I believe, Derek Holland right there. As we complete lap 18.
Sorry, it just looks like he was struggling to get down on the power a little bit. I wonder if he's cooked his tyres. Just coming out of the last corner, he got very sideways as he tried to put the power down. I'm wondering if he's chewed through his tyres a little bit too much.
I'll thank everyone who's tuned in so far today. We started off this stream with about 25 viewers, but we're up to 45 now, which is pretty good numbers. So thank you very much for tuning in. Of course, if you have enjoyed this broadcast, do click the like button and also subscribe, of course, to Apex Racing TV. Of course, in the last couple of weeks, we've been able to secure something that means we can broadcast all our series on Apex Racing 2. So before we broadcast some of our biggest series, like the World GT Championship and the Apex Racing League Touring Car Championship, only on the Esports Network. Now we broadcast both on the Esports Network and Apex Racing TV. So subscribe to this channel, and you'll be able to watch all of our fantastic broadcasts throughout the next few weeks. Good side-by-side action here, and we're seeing the same issue as you were talking about earlier on, Adam, where neither going to admit. Very generous driving that from Holland. He left a wide berth going through woodcuts. In the end, Copeland can take advantage of it. Of course, the guy who spun before this race even started, when we had a little bit of a concertina effect right at the start of this race. But Derek Collins did hang on as Copeland very slow. Oh, so what's happened here? That was more than a slowdown, surely.
I think he cut Maggots as he came in. It was either Maggots or Beckett. So we saw him take some turf up as he crossed the inside. So I'm got a feeling he did get a slowdown there, and I think that was the flash to Holland to say, "Yep, well done. I'm going to have to drop back." But yeah. We saw it before, didn't we? It was very much a gentleman's kind of agreement. You know, after you. No, sir, after you. And neither of them wanting to do it.
It's nice to see. It's nice to see in a world where very competitive in racing. There was some good driving out there from those two. Number one thing right there, not to make contact. Wise driving, very wise driving. Nick Ronan, by the way, in 19th place after that pit stop we saw, didn't put enough fuel in the car. Oh dear. A Dries Mujdi move, which I'm sure Adam will have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about when I say Dries Mujdi. Dare I say Sam Kumo will not know what I am saying, but Dries Mujdi, very good driver last season in the Sim Racers World GT Championship, as there's a bit of a slide for Kearns in the background. And for the first 4 races, he was constantly winning the bronze class, and then but then he'd run out of fuel, had to go back to the pits with about 3 laps to go. But seemingly doing a similar thing there. That's a big lock-up as well for one of the what's that, Warren, just ahead of him. What's going on with Brandon Moore? He's going very slowly all of a sudden. Is he just? Oh, he's letting past his teammate. I think that was Karoni going past him. So now 1 lap between those drivers. There you go, take a screenshot of that one. Well, even though Karoni doesn't even have the livery on, it kind of ruins the point of the photo.
I think they're both satellite drivers, aren't they? Nichols is also running the satellite racing livery. So yeah, I think they were just jumping out the way for their teammate, letting him try and catch Eipenberg. But of course, the time is up. Through surely on the last lap.
Yeah, Lewis Bibby has been able to extend his race lead. It's up to 2.5 seconds now. So for a couple of laps, it looked like Eipenberg was going to come back. He got the gap back down from 2 seconds to about 1.2 seconds. But ever since then, Bibby's just been able to edge it out ever since. And looks like he's going to take his first race win of the season. First race win, of course, for Evo SR, who have been the most successful team by a comfortable margin over the few seasons we've done on Apex Racing League GT. That's Sunday night slot. But Lewis Bibby, of course, started up in 4th place on the grid side behind Eipenberg, but he got past Eipenberg almost immediately, and that's been how it has followed ever since. Lewis Bibby rounding Stoke. This, of course, his home race. First race of this European swing of this season. And it's going to be Lewis Bibby, round Vale, round Club. And he's going to take his first race win of the season. Lewis Bibby wins round 10 of the Apex Racing League GT Championship. Evo SR occupied the top stop on the podium for the first time this season. Dennis Eipenberg with his best result ever in this series. Dare I say, best result for Gold Racing Team as well, finishing in 2nd place. Drag Karoni will finish in 3rd place, and a nice recovery from Enric Andre to round out the top 4. Top of the amateur drivers is going to be Bob Humphrey, a driver who we haven't focused on too much so far today, but we will certainly see him across the line. Here he comes, Bob Humphrey for Evo SR Green, wins the amateur race. 8th place. Under the radar, but really nice job from him as he makes a little bit of contact as well with the wall right at the end. So it's over, Adam. It's over. We can finish the season now. What's the point in doing the last 3 races? Because That's Like Racing finally, their domination has been ended. And I think ever since Lewis Bibby signed up for the series, we kind of knew it was going to be Bibby who was going to stop that run. And so it has proved to be true.
Yeah, it seems weird not seeing Satellite up on that top step, but you know, it's not like the other teams haven't been trying to do it. They've given it all they can all season to try and take that top step, and finally, yeah, Bibby. We said it when he arrived last week to you know, he was going to be the one that could take it to Satellite, and yeah, 3rd race in for him, and there he is.
Yeah, taking that race win. As you see, the Alf car, Jonathan Kearns. Alf a little bit before my time, I will say. Did you grow up with Alf, Adam?
It was on television, as was things like Mork and Mindy and things like that. But I was very much an outdoor child. I didn't watch a lot of television as a kid. In fact, I didn't really want to. My first television in my room was a black and white television that had a radio dial instead of buttons.
Incredible. Yeah, so that's I think we can go through the final results. Yes, we can go through the final results. Awesome. And it is Lewis Bibby who wins out by 2.8 seconds ahead of Dennis Eichenberg. Gerard Caroni finishes in 3rd place with a late spin. You doubt that changed the order too much, the 113 car. Enric Andre finishes in 4th place. A great pace for Taj Edwards. That is a 4th? Or 3rd? Where did he finish in race 1? Come on, Adam. Where's 3rd? There you go, your notes. 3rd and 5th for Edwards. Great result. Mike Visa Kopsakia finishes in 6th. A great debut race for him. A couple of top 6s for him today. Damian Harris finishes in 7th. Then it was Bob Humphrey, top of the amateur drivers. Alan Powell and Daniel Lee round out the top 10. I believe Lee will be the top scoring amateur driver from today. Behind that was Stephen Brumfield. Oh, dear. Oh no. Oh, dear me. 11th place was Stephen Broomfield. Ronald Moons was in 12th. Behind that was John Gordon, Kevin Kittleman, Dion Phillips, Derek Holland, Kev Copeland, Paulo Prieto, Brazilian, in 18th place. Behind that was Nick Rowland, Jonathan Kearns, Brandon Warren, David Nichols, Tom Stevens, Dean Powell, Jeffrey Garzotte, and Joseph Saul. So, we should get some interviews with drivers now. Who are we going to have a chat with this week? Well, we have got a couple of options. I think we will first have a chat with Dennis Eichenberg, who had an absolutely superb round of the championship in the end, finishing in 2nd place in race 2 and 12th place. In 11th place, I believe, in race 1. Congratulations, Dennis. You must be delighted with that result.
Yes, I really am actually. Never finished 2nd in a hosted race before, so yeah, pretty cool. Unfortunate that I actually hit my teammate in the first race. I actually don't really know what happened. It seemed like he had contact with someone on the outside and he skidded a little bit more to the outside, so I thought I'd take him on the inside. But he had more grip than I thought and moved back into me. So a bit unfortunate. I still need to look it back, but yeah, that sucked. But then the second race again, that made everything up for me.
Yeah, it really did. You and your teammates really seem to have come on strong ever since Sebring, ever since the new tyre model was released. Would you say that you've improved noticeably? Because you guys are possibly one of the quickest teams now in this series. You really took it to Satellite Racing and Evo SR today.
I've got a couple of teammates who have always been quick. Taj and Jeffrey are naturally gifted drivers, I would say. But they've just been a little bit unfortunate in earlier races. Ever since the new tire model, I must admit, I struggle more with tires than ever before. Tire wear has become a big issue now, and I just keep burning through rubber more like my teammates. We've been comparing this week, and I don't know what it is. But yeah, we've certainly come alive, which is very good and more fun.
Absolutely. It was we were keeping an eye on the gap between you and Lewis in that second race. It seemed like you were staying really close, and then Bibby pulled away, and then you closed in, and then Bibby pulled away again. What changed kind of between you catching up and him pulling away? I mean, what was it a case of you just making less errors, nailing a few laps, or was it the tires? Kind of what was the difference between you two?
I don't know. First of all, it was nerve-wracking because I had Jawad in my rear as well. Sometimes he made a little mistake and I closed up to him again. Sometimes I made a mistake and then he pulled away from me. In the second part of the race, I just started struggling with my tires, and when he pulled away there, he was just a little bit too quick for me.
Well, it's a great result for you today, Dennis. Congratulations. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yes, my teammate John Gordon in particular. He actually built a last-minute setup for at least the BMW guys, which was lightning quicker than what we've been practicing before. So everything that we achieved in the BMWs today is primarily his doing. So thank you, John.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us, Dennis, and best of luck for the next round of the championship.
Thank you very much. Have a good one, guys.
So that was Dennis Eippenberg finishing in 11th and 2nd places today. Adam, who do you want to have a chat with next?
Well, usually it's kind of a Daniel Lee moment, isn't it? But we've got Andre in there as well. You know what? Let's keep the tradition going. Let's have another chat with Daniel Lee. And here he is, Daniel Lee. Tough out there this week, it seems, buddy. You had battles pretty much from start to finish in both races. How did you see it?
Yeah, that was exactly what happened. It came out black and blue by the end of it. It was a fun race, though, fun double header. Race one's troubles were kind of my own making. Locked it up under braking twice, and always stayed on track. Lost a lot of time to the folks behind me, and this is the difference between AM class and pro class. I might be able to put it up there in qualifying, but I'm making mistakes and they're not. So I only have myself to blame for race one, sliding down the order. Race two was a bit like, it was almost as if I'd caught the rugby ball and everybody was just coming at me and I was just stuck in the middle, and by the end of it, the car came out with panel damage all around, straight line, top speed was awful. So did my best with what I could, but there was no catching people. Once it got past, I could not retake them, so it was a defence from start to finish, but it was a good race nonetheless.
We saw a moment in race two coming into Brooklands where you seemed to lock up and you literally speared between three cars that you were racing with at the time. Personally, it looks like now that you've established yourself in the series, you're trying to validate to everyone else that you are a quick driver and that you are deserving to be getting these results that you're getting. Do you feel that as a pressure? Do you, like when you're out on track, do you feel the pressure to maintain this run that you're on? Yeah, for sure. That's why the tyres will lock up in the braking. It's all about the fact that it's a bit like when you're watching a quiz show. You're fine when you're watching it on telly, but when you're actually in the race and this is what you've been practicing for a week, it seems like all the mistakes creep in. So yeah, that incident that you're talking about with slicing through, I think it was Aaron Powell and Ronald Moons when we were sort of in a group of four. I do not know how I did not collect Aaron Powell on the back end. So that must have been millimetres. I nearly turned inside out after that, realising that somehow I hadn't took anyone out and I was still on course.
to, not lose any more spaces. But it looked like I was going to gain 2 places then and end up losing 1. So I just had to watch that group of 3 cars coast away from me after that. But it was a thrilling race for that reason.
And of course, next time out, we go to another classic racetrack. We're at the Nürburgring for round 6. Have you raced much there? Are you familiar with how it goes?
I am not familiar with Nürburgring. I'm familiar if you're talking hot laps, but in terms of racing, that's going to be a new one on me. Silverstone's one that I've done a billion times. Nürburgring is going to be a new one for me, so I don't know how that's going to pan out, but I'm looking forward.
Well, hopefully you can serve up another spicy dish of great racing that we've come familiar, familiar scenes of watching you. Before we let you go, do you want to give any shout-outs?
No shout-outs in particular, only sort of semi-teammate of mine, Dean Powell. It was his first race today, and he looks to become a fixture too. He's had a good time. You'll definitely see him come up through the midfield and also watch out for him. But thank you very much for the host and for the organisation.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Daniel. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time at the Nürburgring.
Cheers.
So that was Daniel Lee, of course, finishing in 11th place in that race 2. So next up, we will this time have a chat with Enric Andre, because he did win race 1, of course, did Enric, and also finished in 4th place, I believe, in race 2. Congratulations, Enric. That race 1, it looked pretty easy from our seat. How was it in the car?
It was kind of alright. I was struggling a bit in the first part of the race because I had a limited practice, and I just changed the setup like literally 2 minutes before the start of qualifying, so a bit of stress, but overall I think I had a good pace. And but yeah, I think Taj Edwards and Nick weren't that far behind me, so I couldn't really afford any mistakes.
Absolutely. And then in race 2, you were making up some places in the opening stages, but then you had a spin. Take us through it from your perspective.
There's nothing really to say. I think I could have let a bit more space to Aaron, and Aaron carried a bit too much speed understeering to me. Quite a racing incident for me. We were just pushing, we were both pushing quite hard. And no harm. We didn't really, I think, got damaged, both of us, just lost a bit of time, so it's all fine.
And next up, we head to Nürburgring. What are your opinions of that circuit?
I don't really like it. I have kind of some bad memories there. I think the first time I raced there on our racing was in Formula Renault 2.0. I just got tagged down and I got stuck into the curb on the last chicane. So yeah, well, hopefully I won't have that again in GT.
Yeah, definitely. And also, you're now in the lead of the championship standings. Does that affect your driving at all? Are you thinking, let's just get as many points as possible? Has your mentality changed since the start of the season?
Not really, to be fair, because I already had the experience of the reverse grade in OR when I was doing the Formula Renault 2.0 championship there, and I know that it's not really important to risk it in the first few laps, because of the reverse grade you have a lot of people who make mistakes and probably a lot of incidents as well, so you just need to be safe and carry the momentum and just try to finish the race.
Well, you certainly did that today, Enric. Before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to thank?
Yeah, big thanks to the whole Satellite crew, to Ellis Engineering, Truck Racer, and all the people here at Satellite.
Well, thanks for having a chat with us, and best of luck for the next round of the championship.
Thanks, you too, guys.
So that was Enric Andre finishing in first place in race 1, and I swear it was 4th place in race 2, but our overlay is saying 5th.
It was definitely 4th.
It was definitely 4th. Always interesting to hear drivers when they're talking about their attitude to the championship, because some guys are like, oh yeah, it's all about the championship. Some guys, oh, I don't even care. And then some drivers just lie. Johnny Brandon, not to name and shame, but Johnny Brandon, or in the UV8 Supercar says constantly, oh, championship, what's that? and then he goes into the championship. It's clear that he cares, but he just plays it down. But certainly not seeming to mind too much about the championship. There was Enric. I don't think we've got time for one more interview. Who do you want to have a talk with? Oh yeah, we've only got one more driver left, haven't we? Oh, that's an easy
It's
decision, isn't
Mr.
it?
Humphrey. And here he is, Bob Humphrey, winner of race 2 in the AM category. How was it?
Evening all. Yeah, it was an interesting night, full of ups and downs, shall we say.
It seems like the last couple of weeks have been a little bit turbulent for you. You started the season so well, of course, but the last couple of weeks have been a little bit troublesome. Has it been hard to kind of re-find your mojo and get back into winning ways?
A little bit. I think the main reason I'm not winning as much is because I'm coming second to Dan Lee, who just seems to be a bit of a rocket ship. But last week I had children issues, so I couldn't participate. And yeah, this week I spun out of P9 in race 1, but managed to get, I think, P8 in race 2 by just keeping it clean. But yeah, so I'm not as quick as some, let's put it that way. There's definitely some really fast guys in this league.
Oh, we were saying that at the top of the show. Actually, you know, the depth of ability and the pace from everyone. There's nobody slow in this league, and to finish anywhere near the podium in either of the classes is certainly an achievement.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously, sorry, go on.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say it's just it's really tight all the way down the grid as well. When you look at some of the times, it's like no one's like more than sort of quarter of a second, half a second away from the person in front. So it's just a really good fast league.
You speak of Daniel Lee. Obviously, yeah, he has come in and he is upped the game in the AM category, and he is mixing it with the pros at the front as well. Did you, having seen that, did you approach it any differently, the racing, or did you just want to go out there and continue? Like I said before, you know, had a great start of the season. Just try and find that rhythm again and just see where you could go from there.
Yeah, well, I've been trying to, I put a bounty on his head. I've been trying to get people to take him out, but no one seems to take me up on it. So, but no, it's just keep going, go as fast as you can. And I wasn't expecting to come in here and do as well as I probably have been. So I'm just enjoying it, to be honest. I won a race last season in the American season, which was unexpected, and I'm doing well in the amateurs this season. So can't grumble at all. Just enjoying every race, to be honest.
Well, that's the important thing. We go to Nürburgring in a couple of weeks' time. Are you familiar with that track? Do you enjoy racing there?
I don't own it yet, so I guess we'll find out. I haven't played it on iRacing, so yeah, we will see. It's not. I wouldn't say it's one of my favourite on other sims, but yeah, I mean, all tracks, once you get around them and get your head around them, you can be as fast as you can be. So yeah, we'll see. We will see.
Absolutely. Well, fortunately, we do have a week off next week, so you've got plenty of time to practice. It's been a pleasure talking to you, Bob. Before we let you go, are there any shout-outs or thanks you'd like to give?
Just as always, just the Evo SR guys, you know, it's always good fun having practice sessions with them. And I believe my old man's watching, so hi, Dad.
Always good when the folks are watching. Bob, as I said, been a pleasure. We'll see you in 2 weeks' time.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
So there was Bob Humphrey finishing in 9th place in that Space Time course, top of the amateur drivers. Just getting a little bit of a word from Nick Rowland. Apparently he had a penalty in race 2, so he was serving a slowdown, didn't quite serve it in time, and then he got a penalty, hence why he came into the pits. It really ruined his race. Otherwise he probably would have been in that nice battle with Andre and the 2 Gold Racing Team drivers. So that's a little bit of a shame that occurred. But that's a little bit clearing up what happened. Wasn't to do with fuel, just down to not serving a slowdown, it seems. So yeah, Adam, second race then we got a week's break, which is a bit of a shame. But then we got 3 races in 3 weeks, which is pretty cool. We got a nice end to the season. Nürburgring, I'm not a massive fan of it, but it is on the WEC schedule, hence why we're visiting it. And then we've also got Spa and Le Mans as well, which is a slightly better combination, I think. So it should be a good sprint to the finish of the championship now.
Yeah, I mean, 3 classic tracks, aren't they? They're absolutely mega historical tracks that, like it or not, when you're actually driving it, it always throws up good racing for spectators, and that's the important thing. I just can't wait. I kind of wish we didn't have a week off. I want to see how Satellite react to not being top dog, how they come back, and of course, now that we've seen that someone other than Satellite can win races, how do the rest, do they follow suit? Do they get that little impetus, that little extra impetus to kind of give that extra 5%, extra 10% that it's needed to win the races? Can't wait to find out.
Yeah, it should be great. Of course, you can catch the next round then of the Apex Racing League GT Championship in 2 weeks' time. And as Adam was saying, we'll be at Nürburgring for the next round of the championship. Of course, on Apex Racing TV, we've got loads of action coming up over the next week or so. Tomorrow, we've got the World GT Championship. That'll be on the Esports Network and on Apex Racing TV. As I say that, I've just realised that it's a break week. So
Yeah, we've got a week off.
Yeah, forget that one. What other stuff do we have? I think tonight we might have that off track, that truck race potentially. That's been going on for the last couple of weeks, so that might be on tonight. Then we've also got on Wednesday. Actually, we have got Sim Race as well, GT. I do know that one, and I believe on Thursday as well we're at Virginia in the Apex Racing League Touring Car Championship as well. That's going to be pretty epic. We've also got UOB8 Supercars next Saturday, along with loads of other action. Aussie Mixed and Fixed, of course, next Sunday, I imagine, as well. So do keep your eyes peeled. Turn on your subscribe to Apex Racing TV. Turn on the notifications, and then you will not miss a single broadcast. That would be absolutely terrific, I'm sure. But for now, from me, from Adam, and from Sam, we are going to say goodbye, and we'll see you next time.